Stobbe. Alright, here's her bio. Adopted as an infant, Julie presumed pregnancy counselors understood, embraced, and promoted adoption within pro-life ministries. However, upon conducting research, she discovered a distinct lack of knowledge and confidence in pregnancy counselors to present adoption. Determined to address this, Julie founded Active Life in 2002, which has established biblically based adoption training programs carried out in pregnancy centers across North America. In 2009, Julie was a keynote speaker for the Texas Rally for Life on the steps of the Capitol in Austin. And in 2010, she was the recipient of the prestigious National Hope Award from the Gladney Center for Adoption for her influence in advancing adoption awareness. Through the years, she has collaborated with many pro-life organizations to campaign for the Choose Life license plate that has recently become a reality for Texas drivers. She has written several articles on adoption and is currently writing her first book that will chronicle her personal adoption story and successful reunion with her birth mother. Julie holds a Master of Music and Vocal Performance from the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, British Columbia, and a Bachelor's of Music from Texas State University, and she has performed in Tony Award-winning musicals, including Phantom of the Opera and Showboat. Julie's contagious passion for people to discover the beauty of adoption is evident as she reaches people through messages both spoken and sung. She and her husband reside in Houston, Texas with their 2 children. They're right here.
2 children. Okay, great, thank you. I'm so glad to be back. This is my 3rd year to come back, and I love this. This is like one of my favorite things to do, is to be with you guys. Because while I love to talk with pregnancy counselors, which is kind of my first main front of attack, because they're the ones that are coming in contact with potential birth mothers and birth fathers and those who are abortion vulnerable, you guys are my passion, because you are our future. You are the ones that have been passed the baton, and you are carrying the mantle, and you are going to be hugely influential in shaping the way our state and the way our nation deals with pro-life issues, and shaping legislation, shaping ideas and thoughts and attitudes and actions, and you're hugely important. Hugely important. So my name is Julie. My kids are with me today, Connor and Katie.
Hi.
And I recognize a couple of faces from last year. I recognized you, but was there anybody else here from last year, or are you all brand new? Okay, good deal. And we've got people from all different universities across the state. Awesome. Where are you from?
Texas State.
Oh, Bobcats! Yay!
Yeah,
Okay, well, I didn't know about Texas State. I was Southwest Texas State University.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my diploma says something different. But, oh well, that's all right. That's right, it's still the same thing. Where are you from?
Well, I'll be attending the University of Dallas, but I will be Katy, Texas.
Excellent, so you're local. That's good. Where are you from, sir?
I'm from Arlington, Texas, and I go to Texas A&M.
Excellent. That's where Pentatonics is from. Pentatonics.
Yes, they were
fantabulous.
I know like the 3 main ones.
No way.
I sing in choir with them.
You are so beast. You are amazing. You are amazing. Where are you from, sir? So you have to wake up now.
I'm from Mobile, and I go to the University of Texas.
Excellent. So you're from Alabama. Wonderful. Well, go Horns, because I was raised by the biggest T-SIP ever. The biggest T-SIP. Do we have any Aggies? Woo! Oh boy. All right, now this is going to be good. This will be good. Oh, turn that off. Thank you. Okay, well, I am very glad to be here. I know you guys are tired. I'm the kind of presenter that wants to make it interactive. So if you have questions, which I hope you do not hesitate to ask the question. Do not hesitate to make a comment, as long as it's respectful. I want this to be interactive. You've had enough of this whole, here's all the information, and lecture. My heart and my desire is that you really understand adoption. What it is, how it fits in pro-life conversations. If it fits, how does it fit? How can you be prepared? How can you be informed? How can you be an influence? What kind of impact can you make? And to whom? Upon whom can you make an impact? And so my first question is, what do you hope to gain today from this little session that we're going to go through? What do you hope to gain?
Will you sing for us at the end? Please.
I don't know. see. Okay, well, what else do you hope to gain besides singing? Yes.
I guess just a better understanding of like what the mother goes through before she gives her baby up.
Okay, so understand the birth mom, right? Okay. Understand the birth mother and what she goes through. So maybe her process. Okay, that's hugely important. Yes, ma'am.
More about like if the rumors about how like horrible the whole system is are true.
Oh yeah. All right. The horrible rumors. I like to call it myth and misinformation. Because this is the one option that is so shrouded in myth, so shrouded with misinformation. There's just a lot of ignorance. And when I use that word, it's not to be a condemning, judgmental word. It's just meant to represent the fact that a lot of people don't know anything about it. Yes, ma'am, what do you hope to gain?
How to like talk to maybe prospective mothers about how to like go through the process and kind of convince them, I guess, of
Okay.
adoption.
Okay, how to talk to them, the abortion vulnerable, okay? That's very important, huge. What else? Yes,
I'm not sure this would fall under that, but I do know that they say adoption is hard. Like, why is it so hard? Like, why are people kind of scared to go through that process?
okay, I've heard it's hard, and you said something else, say it again.
Why are people scared to go through that process?
Scared, so there's an amount of fear there. Is that true? It can be hard depending on who you are, what part of this triangle or triad we're talking about in adoption. Just for today's purposes, let's identify a few people. My one pet peeve is having to be so politically correct. It's important to be correct. It's important to choose your words very wisely, and we'll talk about language in a little bit. But today, for the purposes of really identifying who it is that we're talking about, we have birth parents, birth mothers, birth fathers. I sometimes call them expectant parents because they are expecting. They are parents. So we have them. We have their children, which are birth children. We also have the adoptive parents. Once that whole process is complete, the child just becomes the child of the adoptive parents, but the adoptive parents just become parents. No one will ever, ever replace the birth parents. Ever, ever, ever. And it's important to understand the role of each one of these people and how they all work together. And hopefully today, by the end of our time together, we will be equipped to have a conversation. That's the key. If we are not equipped to have an adequate, logical, intellectual, compassionate, factual conversation with her, with him, they can't consider it. The normal person that is experiencing an unplanned pregnancy is not going to be thinking of adoption. They're not going to think, oh yeah, let's go down, get some information. I feel like placing my baby for adoption. That just sounds like a great idea. We would hope that that would be one of their thoughts. But typically, that's just not realistic. That's not the one that they're thinking of. Now, a lot of people think there's just two choices. And it's like tossing a coin in the air. She's either going to keep her baby, or she's going to abort or kill her baby. Keep and kill. We hear these words all the time. I want to change the words right off the bat. You don't keep children. I'm not keeping these kids. I'm parenting them. There's a big difference. I keep a dog. I keep house. I keep a lawn cut with the help of my husband. But you don't keep babies. You keep property, but you don't keep people. You don't keep babies. You parent babies. So instead of thinking that I'm going to keep my baby if I'm in an unexpected pregnancy, I'm going to decide to parent. I'm going to become a parent. The other side of that coin is I'm going to abort. I'm going to end the life of this child. I'm not going to continue on with this pregnancy. How would introducing adoption right away affect this 50-50 mentality of parenting or aborting?
It's like a middle ground.
Middle ground? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay. So instead of having this 50-50 thing, we've got a 50-50 deal. She's either going to parent or she is going to abort. Now we've got 33. You see where I'm going? 33. 33. Parent. Abort. And here's the key word I want you to remember. Instead of throwing the big old word out there, adoption, right away, have you ever considered helping her understand? Have you ever thought about providing parents for your child? She could provide parents. We'll go over that in a minute. Provide parents. This is now no longer a flip of a coin. This is no longer there's half a chance she's going to do this or half a chance that she's going to do this. These two say there's a 66% chance that she's going to choose life. If you omit this, she does not see anything but that right there. That's all she sees. But if you introduce adoption as an idea right at the beginning, right away there are two choices that you'll like and only one that does not. So that's a huge thing. Huge thing. Make sure that as here's one thing that I want to make sure that I'm really clear on. I know that in the bio they were talking about Active Life. That's an organization that I started that I love and is dear to my heart. We're all about advancing adoption awareness through our education programs. But our niche is to educate people to have a conversation. And conversations are calm and rational. They can be exciting, and colorful, and heated, but we don't foam and we don't froth. Because if we foam and if we froth, have you ever seen a dog that like foams at the mouth? Are you like wanting to run over and go, oh, what a sweet puppy? No, you're like, ooh, back off. That's kind of like a rabid dog, or it's a repellent. It's something that you want to stay away from. But if you're calm, and even though you can be heated, and even though you can have a strong opinion, if you let people take turns, they want to stay engaged in the conversation with you. Because if you're allowing them to talk and give their perspective, in so doing, you are also earning the right to be heard. And so it's really important as we come to learn about adoption that we put it in an overall context. And our overall goal today, definitely, I want to provide this information. I really do. And we're going to make sure that we do. But the other thing that I want to impart is a heart that is going to foster the desire to have a conversation. Because if she can have this conversation with you, then she will consider it. And that's really what we want her to do, right? We just want her to consider her options. And adoption is an option. It's a great option. It's one that preserved my life. I was a product of an unplanned pregnancy. I was put together in the womb of a 17-year-old girl who was very frightened, very disappointed in herself, very angry, very upset. She had support from her parents. Of course, this is over 40 years ago, so I'm being very, transparent. I'm over 40. And 40 years ago, adoption was very different than it is today. She didn't have a lot of choices, but abortion still was a choice for her, even though Roe v. Wade had not yet come down. I was just a few years before Roe v. Wade. But she still could have aborted. It was still very much a possibility for her. She talked with her parents. She talked with her friends. She talked with her doctor. She talked with a number of people. And even though she had great support from her family that would have allowed her to raise me, She wanted something different for me. She wanted something that she could not give. Doesn't mean that she didn't love me. She loved me. She loved me because she gave me life. But she was not able to be a parent the way that she wanted me to be parented. She wasn't going to marry the man. And so she decided, I can still give everything to this baby that I want to be. I can't be that. I can't give it, but I can give her the chance by providing a home for her. That's where that whole term that we use, providing parents, comes from. And here's one. As we go through the next little while together, it's one thing to have a bunch of knowledge, but if you can't put it into practice, it's really worth absolutely nothing. And so everything that we talk about, I want you to ask yourself, how would I use this? How would this apply? In what circumstance could this possibly work? So the idea of talking with somebody about adoption. By the way, who could you be talking about adoption with? Pretty much anyone. Exactly, because they could talk to some other person. Who could that be in your own life? This isn't a trick question. Friend. Family. Friend, family.
Classmates or your peers.
Classmate, somebody that you're sitting beside, a roommate. Co-workers. Neighbors. All of this that we're going to do today and go through today is important for each and every person to understand. The Dave Thomas Foundation tells us that over 100 million Americans are touched by adoption in their immediate families. That's a staggering statistic. 100 million? That's like a third of our friends and neighbors. That's a lot of people. And that's obviously a way that a lot of families are created. Is there anybody in here other than myself who has experienced adoption in their own family? Excellent, okay. So, see, that's pretty good. That's pretty good, yes. So we've got 3 or 4 of us right here in the same room together already that have experienced adoption. And it's important to not only be able to converse to a young woman who's in an unexpected pregnancy, but also to the people that are supporting her, because she's got a huge decision to make. Huge decision to make. So, here's what I want to do. First, since we're going to be talking about having a conversation, I want to talk about language. Language is huge. So, language really is made up of a bunch of words, right? And words reflect intent. So when you're talking about adoption, when you're talking about pro-life things, choose wisely the words that come out of your mouth, because you want them to accurately reflect your intent. Particularly when you're talking about adoption, be careful about what you say, because your words have meaning. And as we're going to discover today, they also have a history. They have a big history. So, how about this? Have you ever heard anybody say, well, I'm going to give up my baby? Have you ever heard that before? Give up? Okay. Hi, come on in. Okay, so we've got give up. That's a word or a phrase. What is the more appropriate, can we rephrase that? Can we reframe what that person is saying? I'm going to give up my baby. What is she really saying? Or what is he really saying? Because they
don't want to parent this baby.
They're what?
They don't want to parent.
Okay, they don't want to parent. What were you going to say? Same thing. Okay, so I'm not going to give up. You're saying I don't want to parent. I'm deciding not to parent. Okay? I'm not going to parent.
Or unable to parent.
Not parenting, or I'm unable to parent. Okay, good. Give up. Really overall, what else is she really saying?
She's providing a home.
She's what?
Providing a different home.
Sure. She's going to provide a home. What else is she doing?
Choosing life.
She's choosing life. But in her mind, do you see how this is a loaded phrase? What does this sound like to you? Sounds negative. It sounds what?
Loser.
A loser. So she's seeing herself negatively. She's considering herself a loser. Do you, pardon?
Abandonment.
Abandonment. So even a little bit of a victim feeling. I'm just going to give up my baby. When she's saying that, she's not seeing what you're saying here. Do you see how these phrases are very different? These are very different. What are you hearing here versus here?
It was a positive thing.
Positive and what?
It was a good decision.
A good decision. She sees it as a good decision. She sees it as her choice. She sees it as she's being responsible. These are her circumstances. Therefore, this is my decision. That is a healthy mind to say, I've considered everything, but really in the end, this give up business is really, she's saying, I'm going to plan an adoption. I'm planning to place my baby for adoption. Here's one big thing I want you to think about in this phrase, because this is the most popular phrase that's used. Give up. When they're thinking of adoption. Oh, I can never give up my baby. Or I'm going to give up my baby. Even if they think of it as a positive thing, I'm going to give up my baby for adoption. What about adoption makes you think you're giving your baby away? I want you to listen to the words that she uses, not what you're using, but what she is saying. And I want you to formulate questions to ask her or him based on the words she says. What about adoption makes you think you're giving your baby away?
Well, in a sense, if there's kind of like a ownership responsibility to your child.
Okay. So maybe she's thinking of transferring or giving up that ownership or giving up those rights and responsibilities. There is an aspect of that when you relinquish your rights, when you sign that over. It's not giving up, though. It's not like forfeiting in a game. Well, I quit, and I'm just going to walk away. I like to ask men and women who are searching about adoption, you know, I like that you are concerned about giving away your child. That tells me that there's an aspect of you that doesn't want to give away your child. There's something there that's a little negative. So I would give you a ride to school, or I'd give you a stick of gum. I wouldn't give up a baby either. So what about adoption makes you think you're giving up your baby? And then let them tell you, because they will. And we're going to go over this in a minute. I also want you to learn the flip side, which is, I personally don't think adoption is giving up. I think adoption is giving to your baby. Giving to your baby. What does adoption give a baby? Somebody tell me something. A what?
A home.
A home. I heard something else. I heard a chance. What else?
Opportunity.
Opportunity.
Stability, fresh start.
Stability.
Loving parents.
Loving parents. Okay, what else?
A healthy environment.
Healthy environment. What else? What else? I mean, honestly, if you stopped and thought about it, this list could go on and on and on and on and on and on. That is giving. Adoption is giving your baby life. You're giving a home. You're giving that child a chance at life. You're giving that child an opportunity to become everything that they ever want to be, everything they were meant to be, everything they're intended to be. A stable, home, lots of stability, loving parents. Now what about this though? Because I love to do this. We have to be practical. But I love my baby. Are you telling me that I would not love my baby? I would be an awesome, loving mom. So if I give up my baby for adoption, are you telling me I'm not a loving parent?
It's like the most loving choice you can
Okay, so help me understand. Help me understand, because that's two of you were starting to talk. Help me understand. Because right now I'm thinking that you're accusing me of not being a loving parent by wanting to parent my baby and not place my baby.
make. You're loving a baby by giving him the option to have another set of parents provide for things that you will never be able to.
Okay? Or might not be able to right now. I want to give my baby those things. I want to give my baby those things. A healthy environment. Okay, so I'm not necessarily healthy. Are you telling me I'm unhealthy? I'm the pregnant one, okay? So am I not healthy? Engage me in a conversation. That's the whole goal. You are not going to sleep on me.
Not necessarily unhealthy, but if there are parents ready to adopt, that means they're financially stable and have a home that a baby's ready to come into right then.
Okay?
So we give the mother an opportunity to have chances for herself.
That is a huge thing, what you're saying right there. Did you want to add to that? Okay, that's a huge thing. Because what we need to do as we are engaging people in conversations is helping them realize we are not judging them. We are wanting to choose words that are not judgmental. We're wanting to have accurate words. We are already dealing with a highly emotionally charged topic. Please do not feel the need to be positive about adoption. Like, we're going to spin it and make it really attractive. You don't have to do that. You just have to be accurate. You just have to be clear. If you really want her to make a fully informed decision, you have to be a resource of information, a resource of truthful information, a resource of truthful information given in a compassionate and supportive manner to stay around to help her and support her and him. Don't leave him out. He's a part of this as well. But it's very, very important for her to see that adoption could also afford her the ability to not only provide this for her child, but it allows her to continue doing what she might want to do. She might want to finish school. She might want to do something different. Adoption still allows her the ability to chase her dreams and to attain those goals that she may have for herself. Okay, so we have give up. You can also say, instead of that, you're going to place your baby for adoption. Here's another favorite one of mine. I want to create a home for my baby. Not give up. I want to create a home for my baby. That's what expectant moms do. Whether they end up parenting or placing, they're creating a home. They are creating a home that only they can create. I created a home for my kids. My birth mother, Allison, created a home for me by allowing me the opportunity to be adopted. Now, she did not choose the parents for me, because adoption was totally different back then. She did not choose the parents for me. Did you know that you get to choose the parents today? There is so much that we're going to cover today. You get to choose. The young man, the young woman has all the control to make this plan, to create this home. And sometimes that's all they need to know. Okay, what's another phrase that you hear with adoption a lot? It's real close to give up. Give away.
Let go.
Hmm? Let go. Okay, let go. What about this one? I put my baby for adoption. I did. I put up my baby 20 years ago. Or I put up my baby for adoption last week. What do you hear still?
Abandonment.
Abandonment. What else?
Like an object. Yeah.
Property, an object. Okay? What? It. Non-human.
Yeah, denies personhood of a child even after it's born.
Say that again?
I said that statement like denies the personhood of a child even after it's born.
Right, because I put it up, right? Okay. Well, my husband put up my car on blocks to rotate the tires. He put it up so that he could change the oil. Before we moved to Houston, we put up our house on the market. Men and women who choose adoption for their babies are not putting up their babies. They are creating loving homes. What else is this indicative of? This phrase. We're onto it in the realm of property and non-personhood. What is a massive part of our history as a nation? It was one of many reasons for the Civil War. Only one, but it was a big one. Slavery. The ownership of people. And slaves were put up, and people came and bought slaves and took them home. Does anybody know where this phrase comes from?
Is it like the slave trading?
It is very similar to that. It comes from that history because here's what happened. Charles Loring Brace was a man who lived in New York City, and after the Industrial Revolution decided there were so many street children, urchins, orphans that had no parents. For whatever reason, there was an influx into the city of children with no parents, and they desperately needed to be taken care of. He came up with the idea to bring them in, and he started what is known as the orphan train. Have you ever heard of the orphan train? Okay. The orphan train is where the children, and we'll use you two as an example. What are your names? Samantha and Bailey. Okay, so Samantha and Bailey. We'll say, Samantha, you are 15, and Bailey, you're 9, right? You get put on the train, and this is what happened. Started in the Northeast, and the train went west and southwest through the states, and it would stop. And Samantha and Bailey would get off with all the other children, and they would go to a main part of the town or the village. And they would go to either a place in the market, or they would go to an opera house or a music house and get up on the stage. Or if it was in the market area, they would get up on the platform. They were put up on the platform. And then 2 people would come. What kind of children do you think that they would want? Children to work.
They wanted healthy kids that they could use on their farm. Boys.
There you go, boys. Maybe some people would want the boys because they are farm hands, they're strong, strapping, they're gonna be the workers. What about the girls?
They can clean the house, cook,
Clean, cook,
take care of other kids.
take care of other kids. Okay, so Samantha, you're 15, you get chosen. And Bailey, you're 9, not ready for you yet, so you go back on the train. Go to the next town. The same thing comes out. They get up in a major area, people come to make their selections, and then those that are not chosen get back on the train, they go to the next stop. Do you know that this happened all the way, the last stop for the orphan train was Dallas? Over 150,000 children were relocated this way. 150,000 kids. Now, some people would say, that's horrible, that's awful, it's deplorable. But it was the country's first reaction to try to take care of kids and provide homes for children who needed them. Most of the time, the children, they tried very hard to keep the children together, siblings together. That didn't always happen. The people who chose children to go home with them, not all of them were big, bad, hairy, ugly, terrible people. They were people who were opening their homes to children in need. Was everybody placed in a loving home? Probably not. And by the way, there is a phenomenal movie about the orphan trains. It's a documentary that PBS did a number of years ago. And if you Google PBS orphan train, it'll come up. Fantastic documentary.
There's a Little House on the Prairie too. They have an episode on it.
There you go. I can't believe this. You know Little House on the Prairie? I grew up watching Little House. You did too?
Yeah.
Who watched Little House on the Prairie? I am so encouraged. This is huge. Oh my word. Y'all have really restored faith in me. Oh, this is great. Okay. And yes, that's a perfect example. A small rural community, right? Made up of good, hardworking people who simply wanted to open their home to kids in need. Well, 150,000 kids were relocated this way. That's a huge thing. Huge thing. There was another thing going on around the same time. Has anybody ever heard of the revolving door? Okay, the revolving door. You know what a revolving door looks like? All I can think of is Elf. Will Ferrell going around and around and around. But okay, revolving door. Around the same time, they had the revolving door concept at convents. The Catholic Church was wonderful. They stepped out and said, we want to start taking care of these babies who need attention and love. So, here they come. The mother comes, places their baby in a basket that is right outside the revolving door. They ring a bell, ring, 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 and they revolve the door. It sweeps the basket in. The bell alerts one of the nuns to come retrieve the baby, and the birth mother is able to walk away, knowing that she did the best that she could. She could have abandoned a baby. Infanticide has been